And we look to Bolivia now, where President Rodrigo Paz is facing a deepening crisis as anti-government protests and blockades worsen less than 6 months after he took office. In La Paz, weeks of road closures, spearheaded by workers' unions, have emptied markets and depleted medical reserves. The government says at least 3 people have died after ambulances were blocked from reaching hospitals.
Protests in La Paz again turned violent on Monday as riot police prevented crowds from demonstrating in front of government buildings located in the city's main square. For hours, the streets of downtown La Paz were the scene of a pitched battle, with police shooting tear gas and protesters hurling explosives and rocks. The protesters are demanding wage increases, economic stability, and an end to the privatization of state-owned companies.
Bolivia is going through a critical moment with this traitorous government that is selling off our natural resources to transnational corporations. And we, as the proletarian vanguard, will not allow this government to continue selling off and indebting our country.
It cannot be that this government is ruling by decree. In the future, things will even be worse for the Bolivian people. And to prevent that from happening, we demand the resignation of this traitorous, separatist government, which will issue decrees against the Bolivian people tomorrow and the day after.
While the week-long protests are aimed at ramping up pressure on the government, they've had a palpable side effect for ordinary citizens: acute shortages of fuel, food, and basic goods.
Merchants don't have anything to sell because the trucks with merchandise are stuck on the roads, unable to get through. Things are just there, prevented from passing.
And the few goods that do get through have become prohibitively expensive.
They get very angry about the high price because at that price many people aren't buying anymore. Now they're buying by the £0.5 instead of the pound.
With the year-on inflation rate already at 14%, there seems to be no clear remedy for the country's worst economic ordeal in 4 decades.
Sergio Mendoza is a journalist in La Paz and joins us now. Sergio, describe to us the situation in La Paz at the moment.
Hello, thank you for the interview. Well, yes, we have been in 3 weeks of protests and riots and road blockades here in Bolivia and mainly in the western part of the country in La Paz. Last Monday, we have had a especially violent protest here in La Paz city, in the political capital, when thousands of protesters came into the city and attacked people, citizens, looted public infrastructure, private infrastructure. They stole desks, chairs, documents, bar documents, products of stores, and they clashed with the police and the military officers that were patrolling and controlling the situation in the city center. Now the situation is much more peaceful. There are still some marches coming from the south of the city, but it's much more better than we had on Monday, when we had almost 11 police officers injured.
Sergio, what are these protests about? They're led by unions, as far as I understand it. And why are they not calming down? Yeah,
there are especially 3 groups that are protesting: the National Labor Union, Highland Farmers, and supporters of former President Evo Morales. They are demanding Rodrigo Paz to resign. However, the government says that's not possible. They are going to respect the democracy and the constitution. That's the only demand they had. Previously, they were demanding increasing salaries, guaranteed fuel supply, and repeal a law over land, management of land. The government has guaranteed fuel supply and repealed that law, but say increasing salaries is impossible now. So the only demand that they have now is Paz to resign.
Now, he has only been president, he has only been in office for 6 months. I mean, how much blame does he really carry for that anger?
Yeah, that's true. It's 6 months that he has been in power. He has inherited a very critical economic crisis, one of the worst in Bolivian history. Since then, the fuel supply has been guaranteed for most of the time. Inflation has cooled down from around 25% to 14%. The parallel dollar that was in 20 Bolivians per dollar now is around 10 Bolivians per dollar, so it's much better. However, it seems to be more a politically motivated protest promoted by former president and some other sectors that feel this government is not representing them, is not representing the popular classes of the country, and is too much close to US government, for instance, and too much close to private investors or private business instead of the rural areas or the popular sectors of the country.
Now, I understand that the current president is a more business-friendly, and the previous president is more on the left. Is that what you're describing there?
Yes, that's true. Well, and when Paz won the elections, he promised to be to be centrist and not apply these called neoliberal policies. However, what Bolivia, like most analysts and most citizens agree, is that Bolivia needs to open to private investment and to guarantee legal certainty for private investment and to reduce the participation of the state. The government is pushing to do that in some way. It seems is not well received for these popular sectors. However, the government has been open to conversations and dialogue, but these particular groups, labor union, Morales supporters, and highland farmers, they say they are not going to participate in any dialogue anymore, and they just are demanding a change of government and constitutional transfer of power.
Sergio Mendoza, the journalist in La Paz. Thank you very much, Sergio.
Thank you.